Namaste and welcome to this astrological alchemy session with me, Ellie Latrobe. So welcome, we're here in November in Scorpio season, and for the last few weeks we have been wading through the mud, more of it. It's following after, the years of Saturn through Capricorn and now into Aquarius, where this restructuring process is going on within every single individual on this planet. And yes, collectively in our outer structures and systems, in how technology and science is accelerating, there is this restructuring process also. But here in this season of the sun being in the sign of Scorpio, where we're going into the dark in the northern hemisphere, from which the roots of all of the symbols of our modern astrology practice kind of follows. We are in this fixed sign where we are descending down into the depths of our unconscious nature, our patterning, our desires body, our emotional world, and we're trying to understand why the things that we see in the world are as they are. So whether it's certain causes, certain things that impassion us to go to war, to put our energy towards, or whether it is an internal alchemical process of taking those bits of ourselves that we haven't been looking at, or ignoring, or repressing, or suppressing, or denying, and drawing them back into ourselves. So this is the context of where we are right now. And Scorpio gets a bad rap, In my last podcast, I talked about how, the Scorpio archetype, can be seen as the darkest, the most, it's the symbol of the scorpion, the one that has got a sting in its tail. But really Scorpio is almost one of the strongest signs. It's where we take the bull by the horns and we go to battle when in those battles that we need to take. And right now in this, we're in the full moon approach right now, and it's kind of, the energy has already started. For those of you who are sensitive, you'll already be feeling almost a discombobulating kind of feeling as the eclipses approach. And on Wednesday the 17th, we have this opposition of Mars and Uranus, which is kind of initiating what is then going to unfold on Friday for the full moon. And this Mars-Uranus piece is in this same polarity of the moon and the sun for the full moon. So we're talking here about Scorpio and Taurus. So for our Mars and Uranus, our Mars is in its home sign of Scorpio, and Uranus is in Taurus. So the reason this is important in the context of what I'm going to talk about, this polarity, is that Mars is our personal power. Mars is our drive. Mars is what makes us feel confident, takes us forward, it drives us, literally drives us, right? And it's in Scorpio, so it's driving us to be a warrior, it's driving us to alchemize those parts. And on the Uranus side, in a fixed earth sign of Taurus, is trying to break the earth. This hard earth, these ingrained patterns that over and over again just create the same outcome, create the same outer life. The sign of Taurus is the world builder. It's how things are built, yeah? It's the habitual nature from which things, come to be. The desire for something, for a value to be created in the world comes about. So this polarity of Mars giving us this personal drive to dive deep, and Uranus shaking up the earth, yeah? And we're trying to bring the two together. We're trying to bring our power into awakening ourselves into a new paradigm of living right now. I mean, obviously this this is the inner reflection of the outer transits. We may see it in other ways. It may come out in anger. It may come out in frustration. It may be sudden, unpredictable severages of electricity, or explosive language, explosions in the outer world. But I would invite, whatever is going on in this week, you know, what are the more inward explosions that are going on? What is the inward earth shaking, unconscious coming to the surface through that earthquake that you need to see and need to observe right now? Because for Friday's full moon, we have the same polarity, Scorpio Taurus. You know, the sun is in Scorpio and the moon in Taurus. It's the same polarity being triggered again. And it's like extra exclamation marks. You know, the sun is our will. So we have our will and our personal power embodying this archetype of Scorpio. Go and listen to that, you know, the podcast on Spotify, if you didn't listen to that last week. This tenacity of, you know, just keeping going, looking at what's under the next rock, uncovering what is there until we get to the source of truth, until we know what it is, and then we can come back up again. So I want to elaborate on this Scorpio Taurus polarity a little bit before we get into kind of the breakdown of the next 2 weeks. Because it is an incredibly important polarity to be thinking about right now, and to be understanding how that's playing out in your own life and in your own birth chart. So when we think about Taurus and Scorpio, the axis that we are talking about, the polarity, the extreme parts of the same thing that we're talking about, we can ultimately boil it down to the word desire. And the reason we're boiling it down to desire is because although Scorpio is a water sign and Taurus is an earth sign, what we have set up here is how desires and emotions create form. And this is the Taurus piece. What we desire, where our emotions are focused, we create form. And we create them through, you know, we have a thought form that's created from an impulse in some way. And then we emotionally, you know, desire that thought. And that emotional kind of magnetism that we place upon that form then gets its own life, and it creates, you know, whatever the thing is. It may take on a life of its own and do some other things that are slightly unintended as well. But ultimately, at some point, the world of form, the world of belief, the world of even what we value has started from some kind of desire within our human psyche. So on one side, we have this desire that creates form in Taurus. And then in Scorpio, we have the uncovering of the desire that creates the form. So it's like, here in Taurus, I fix and I attach to this desire to create. And in Scorpio, I'm going to dive deep into, you know, all of those desires that through the, you know, through time has created, you know, this mirage of the world that we see. And as I'm describing that, I'm kind of getting the image of, you know, almost like evolution, like the flatfish, you know, like you know, sometimes what we end up with looks a bit weird, you know, but ultimately it's evolved, it's got to that place because of a series of beliefs, a series of emotional desires that's got us into a place. And we almost forget, you know, we forget how we got to a place. And it's like, as well, it's like the modern day zeitgeist, you know, like it's continually changing. So therefore we have to kind of uncover actually why something is there and question it. And it requires a lot of hard work. Now this axis is a fixed axis as well. It's one that kind of maintains and establishes things. So as much as Scorpio is trying to uncover, it gets fixed on the uncovering process, on the you know, it can get fixed on the warpath, it can get fixed on you know, staying in its cave, you know, within this polarity as well. We have, you know, Taurus ruled by Venus traditionally, you know, and Venus is light. It is, you know, the voice of our soul. It's illumination. It's the time of the year in the Northern Hemisphere where we are rapidly increasing in light, you know, so we are going towards that light. And in Scorpio, we're ruled by Mars, and we are heading down on into the depths of the underworld, right? Heaven and hell, you know, we've got this polarity where each needs each other. We can't understand light without dark. We can't have heaven without hell. We can't have Venus without Mars. We can't have Mars without Venus, and so on. So when we have, in Scorpio season, when we have the weight of the sun in the sign of Scorpio, and then we have the moon in Taurus, we have to really challenge our emotional tendency. Our emotions get security in those fixed way of living, you know, in the ways that we were raised, in the ones that are comfortable to us. You know, Taurus can get stubborn and stuck and fixed, you know. So we have to mind ourselves in this lunar eclipse, that we don't clutch at these familiar patterns that we, you know, we may have developed to keep ourselves safe, obviously. We may just have them because our parents taught us them at some point. And the sun, that is our kind of will, wants us actually to look at, you know, spend some time and dive into why those habits are there, why those beliefs are there, why that pattern that we repetitively do is there. It brings a subtle shift to the spring full moon when the moon is in Scorpio and the sun is in Taurus. So this, you know, this is a great line of, you know, establishing new desires. So, I mean, the big question is, you know, what do you desire right now? You know, what emotional desire can you almost galvanize around the voice of your soul, the Venus side of, you know, what your soul wants, you know, and using the energy that is right abundant right there at the moment of, you know, Mars in Scorpio is in its element. So we have this to bolster ourselves. We have it to, you know, help us on our quest. Because this new moon, this full moon is happening towards the end of Scorpio and the end of Taurus. So this is a really profound time of the sign, because it's the bit where the kind of the final bit of the battle is done. And if we think about that final decan, that final 10 degrees of Scorpio, it's where the real alchemy, it's where the real transformation happens. So there is an opportunity here for us to truly alchemize that which on the other side, in that final decan of Taurus, which is more about how we protect and ensure the resources that we're used to. We're very protective in that last decan of Taurus, where the moon resides. Whereas over here in Scorpio, it's more like there's an invitation to alchemize. There's an invitation to transmute, you know, the dark material, to bring it all in, to take on its power. You know, Scorpio really gives us power and strength, because we're heading on into Sagittarius soon. So, well, it's Sunday, 21st is when the sun goes into Sagittarius. And this follows the zodiacal cycle of, you know, once we've gone down into the depths and alchemized the mud, we can rise up and see the greater vision. We can see our greatest truth. We can know our higher vision. We can go on an epic quest, right? So, although this, this polarity is not always an easy polarity to traverse, it's an incredibly rewarding one to do the work in. You know, challenging those fixed beliefs is a most potent way of transforming our lives in the real world, in real time, and what that means. So let's move on to kind of summing up what's going to be happening over the next 2 weeks. And I've kind of alluded that, you know, that polarity that is established is of Scorpio to Taurus is the most important to be considering. So I want you to either bring up your birth chart, or if you already know it, then that's great. If you don't have a birth chart, you can use a website like astro.com or AstroSeek or AstroCharts, and you can plug in your own birth data there. And what we're looking for is your rising sign. So these eclipses are going to be falling in different parts of your chart. And if you have got a Scorpio or Taurus rising sign, then it's going to be bringing this eclipse on Friday. It's going to be bringing it into the 1st and 7th houses. So for you, it's going to be about identity and relationship. So one of those two is going to be undergoing some kind of shift. There may be it may feel challenging, or it may feel enlightening. Depends upon the makeup of other placements, whether you have a lot of placements in Scorpio, or whether you just have the one, and what relationship they make with each other. But we're just kind of summarizing here. And then if you have an Aquarius or Leo rising, then it may be affecting more your home or your career. And then if we think about Libra or Aries, this is going to fall in, it's going to kind of double up on the axis of desire. So everything I've just spoken to, it's almost going to magnify that even more. It's going to cause shifts in, you know, what do you value? How do you use money? How money comes to you from other people? How you finance yourself? How do you, use your resources? You know, and it can cause a shake-up of those ways that you already use those resources, or how you receive those resources. So that was Libra or Aries rising people. So yeah, then we have the Sagittarius or Gemini people, it's going to be hitting your axis of healing, the 6th and 7th and 6th and 12th houses. So this may be physically healing, this may be mentally healing, this may cause you to need to take a retreat, take a break, focus on something that is healing for you. You know, I'm a Sagittarius rising, and I am full on leaning into dental procedures. You know, it's a good old healing process in the real time of, just the mundane practical stuff that I've been putting off for a while, and I'm going to take the horns of the monster that I don't want to look at, which is dental work, and I'm leaning into it. Those of you who have Pisces or a Virgo, it's going to be hitting your 3rd and 9th houses. So this is the axis of like communication. So how do you communicate? How do you balance up your short-term travel versus your long-term travel? Your writing and social media that you do on daily basis versus the big projects, the big books, and those are kind of the same thing. If you think about travel and communication, this is like, are we busy on a daily basis? So lots of travel, lots of words. Are we writing articles? Are we recording podcasts every other day? Or are we putting our energy into writing a book? Or are we putting our energy, our resources into taking long distance travel? So these are our 3rd and 9th house kind of topics. Are we maybe thinking of reframing how we, our philosophical look at life, or our intellectual way of life? Are we considering teaching or learning, So those of you with Virgo or Pisces, any of those apparent, or maybe you may feel shaken up or waken up to inviting some of that into your life. And then we have you Cancer and Capricorn rising type people, and this is falling in your 5th and 11th houses. So this is your axis of kind of creativity. So how do you create in a group versus create on your own? How do you work in organizations versus working on your own? Are you shifting like how you spend your time, whether it's on your own or in groups? Are you looking to work in more community service-based activities, or are you looking to do more hobbies for you? Are you consciously looking at how you experience pleasure, or how you have babies versus how you almost relinquish that for the greater good? How you make babies in a group versus making babies on your own, and how you serve the world through doing that. So yeah, there's and as I said, it's nothing's as ever simple as your sun sign means this or your rising sign means that, because your placements fall within the context of all the other planetary arrangements within your own natal chart. But just be aware, just even having that awareness that, this end of this week is, is either going to shake us from within and out, or from an external place in towards us that then may affect us. So just to be gentle with yourself and gentle with others through these next couple of days. I do think, there's Thursday, in between those two big deals, Mercury is trining Neptune. So this is like I just feel this is like our rational brains are being helped by our intuitive minds right now. There is this connection of brain and mind, of concrete and imaginative. So, you know, as much as the emotional waters may be rocking over this time, you know, maybe lean into that more intuitive space. If you're an artist, if you loved paint or draw or create in some way, use that as your way into your intuitive part of your being, and let your rational brain receive that more intuitive wisdom. For those of you who meditate, meditate. For those of you who don't meditate, meditate. And see if you can receive intuitive guidance that's going to help steer you to know what is actually an intuition and what is, compared to what is an ego, you know, fixed, caging, protecting measure that's keeping you in the same place. And sometimes that feels like an intuition because it feels good, yeah? So we're like, oh, I have this intuition. And it's exactly what you've been doing or, you know, would do over and over again, always, you know? So yeah, lean into that. That's my big advice. And just before the lunar eclipse, we also have the moon is moving through, and it's going to trine Pluto just before the lunar eclipse, which I just really love. It's like this invitation to shed some emotional baggage. So just be conscious that this, you know, in this full moon is a time of shedding, a time of connecting to our higher wisdom, letting go of the bags that we need to let go of so that we can alchemize and we can move into a new place where we're filled with the desire of our soul, and we create that physically over the next cycle of time. On the same day as the lunar eclipse, we have Venus trine to Uranus. And this is, you know, I think, again, this is another positive. It's like there is a positive, beneficial effect of Venus. And Venus is kind of putting her blessing on Uranus. So although Uranus is in a lower sign, I think Venus is still going to really help that shake up and waking up effect of Uranus. All those earth shakes that Uranus is conjuring up through its relationship to Mars right now. I think that there's going to be the cracks for the light to come out. You know, it's Leonard Cohen, isn't it? Or just like those Chinese vases that get, you know, the cracks get filled with gold. Let's let ourselves crack open during this eclipse. Let's not hold ourselves together. Let's allow those cracks to be created so that we can all be filled with gold. Yeah. And then Sunday 21st, the sun moves into Sagittarius and Mercury is square to Jupiter. So, you know, the sun into Sagittarius, that, you know, I will focus on Sagittarius in the next YouTube, in the next podcast that I do. But this is going to be, this is the season of truth seeking. It's the season of vision, being the visionary for our lives. So it's like once we've done the dog work now in Scorpio, we can get that illumination and that higher vision in Sagittarius. If we haven't done the dog work on alchemy and, you know, listen to our true voice of our soul, our conscience, we're just going to be doing creating the same visions for ourselves in the next round. It's like when the trees lose their leaves. And then on Wednesday the 24th, Mercury moves into Sagittarius and joins the Sun. So after Mercury has been kind of blessed by Jupiter's truth-seeking qualities on the 21st, we then have it moving into Sagittarius itself. So our mind then starts thinking about what the future might bring. Where am I going? You know, that's what Sagittarius asks us. You know, sometimes it makes us want to go on adventures, and maybe those adventures are, you know, physically traveling, but maybe they are travels of the mind also. Where do you want to travel? What do you want to learn? How do you want to explore philosophy? How do you want to understand ways of comprehending who you are and what this world is? And then, just to kind of bring it all together, then on Sunday 28th, the Sun and Mercury conjoin in Sagittarius. So it's like our will and our mind come together and they're in the same place. So it's like, this is my vision. I know my vision, my will, my desire that I am reforming around this higher vision is united, and this is where I'm expanding into. That last part of November is not too bad if it wasn't for the context of this kind of Uranus-Saturn relationship that's wanting to rise up and break down all of the structures, but ultimately that's going to have positive things for all of us individually and collective in the long run. So as that's playing out, the question is, what is the higher vision that we are, you know, wanting to rebel against the old system? You know, if the old system doesn't work, it's one thing rebelling and getting angry about it. What is the vision? Where are we going to? And Sagittarius really invites us to bring that in. So the new moon is on the 4th of December. So that's when the Sun and the Moon are together. And so the new moon phase that I will talk about more in the next podcast will bring in, crystalline that vision in its fullest. And I'll leave it until that next episode to talk more fully about Sagittarius, that truth-seeking visionary that we all are. So in terms of bringing all of that together, we are going to use meditation as a way of opening our higher mind, our intuitive, more abstract mind, to the impressions of our soul, our solar angels, some people call it, higher wisdom. And we're going to see if we can intuit more deeply what those points of alchemy, those points of transformation in your life are right now. So finding yourself in a comfortable seated position. If you're on a chair, make sure your 2 feet are flat and stable on the floor beneath you, hip distance apart. If you are cross-legged, do grab a block or a cushion, even if you think that you are comfy initially. A block will help you be comfier for longer. And meditation's enemy is having physical discomfort. So make sure you are comfy, cozy, happy in your skin right now in the position that you've put your body. Take a big inhale and exhale through your mouth. Maybe shake your head, move your neck. Take another inhale, exhale through your mouth. Arriving in this moment right here, right now. Placing your hands, palms down on your knees and just grounding down to the earth beneath you. All of that fixed earth beneath you. Allow your roots to spread down into the ground, connecting you to all that came before you. Not just your family line, but all those other human beings that have lived on this earth. And even before humans were around, connecting down through the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, and to the mineral kingdom of the rocks, of the earth beneath you. See if you can tap into the life of the earth beneath you as an entity. It's almost like you're putting yourself in a charging dock, charging yourself up. Now bringing that energy up from the base of your spine, up through your spine, up to the crown of your head. And back down through the crown of your head, down through your spine, into the ground beneath you. Inhaling, rising, connecting yourself up through the crown of your head, up to the light of illumination right above your head. Feeling a bright star drawing your attention high above your head, whilst keeping yourself rooted to that earth beneath you. Feel your body lengthening, feel your brain opening as your mind opens up to the light of that star above your head. And as you receive in the light, gently let that heart open. Allow yourself to open your heart to the wisdom of your soul. And whether you feel it like leaves of light falling down or a stream of light, hold yourself steady whilst remaining rooted. And let that light illuminate the lineage, illuminate what's come before, illuminate the emotional patterns, illuminate the beliefs. Bringing one hand and then the other onto your heart. And just feeling yourself open to receiving any message that you need to know for yourself right now. What is it in your life that needs to change? What is it that's changing in your life that you have no control over? How can you invoke some grace? And trust and love. Bringing your hands back to your knees with your palms facing upwards and your your thumb and your first finger touching. Drawing those shoulders back and down. Lifting your head up as your tailbone draws down, as you root yourself back into your earth beneath you. Drawing that light down into your earth. Transmuting that which needs to be transmuted. What is there fixed that needs to change? And letting that light come down and breaking apart that which needs to break apart. Breaking down that which needs to break down. Illuminating that which needs to be seen. And alchemizing that which needs to be transmuted. One hand on your belly, one hand on your heart. Bringing your Mars and your Venus together. Bringing your soul in to speak to what you fight for. It gives you drive, that gives you purpose. That brings nectar around the spoken word and the thoughts that think themselves. And gives you space before you react, before you explode, before the emotions take hold. And just breathing into your heart and your belly. And inviting your inner Mars and Venus to join. Taking a big inhale through the nose and exhale softly through the mouth. And just feeling how you feel. Knowing what you know. And being all that you are. Namaste. So until next full moon for this YouTube video, I hope that the vision comes clearly in this time and we get to clarify upon that vision in the next full moon Sagittarius Gemini episode here on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. Until next time, namaste. you.